Years ago, when I was almost 14, something incredible happened. Something that would completely change and determine the course of my life. Something I was so incredibly fortunate and blessed to find. I found my calling. I discovered music. And even more than that, I discovered the bass. Now, you might think to yourselves, that seems pretty far-fetched. I mean, you're just a kid, right? How could you have found your calling when most people never even do? Well, if you take a moment to listen to my story, I hope you'll understand. But even if you don't, you will surely feel the supernatural energy that music exerts, and the sheer awe of those that do understand. For me, that all started when I took notice of the magnificent thing I'm holding in my hands, the bass. For some reason, I became attracted to the bass. I remember watching the bass player in a jazz club somewhere play, and I just found that I couldn't take my eyes off the instrument. Those sounds he was getting, man, those incredible tones, those ultra-funky slap licks. Oh man, I remember seeing that and thinking, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, just think about how big a role the bass plays in music. How many times have you found yourselves grooving out, bobbing your heads to a tune? Then wonder what it was that captivated you like that. The melodic, fancy guitar riff? The powerful, cool drum beat? Nah, it was the bass. The bass is the heart of the band, really. It's what lays down the fundamental groove of the tune, the bass line, what sets the flow of the harmony and the rhythm. It's the blueprint. It's the glue that keeps everyone in the band together, and more importantly, makes them sound good. I mean, just think about how many tunes are as iconic as they are because of the bass, right? Right? If you didn't know that one, I hate to say it, but you've been living under a very large Justin Bieber-shaped rock. That was Stand By Me by Benny King. Now just listen to the powerful melodic bass line in Standing in the Shadows of Love, originally played by the legendary Motown bassist James Jamerson. That tune was a prime example of how the bass can really drive a piece of music. Now, let me give you an idea of just how important that is. Now, that was Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, but something felt off there, didn't it? The tune felt a little empty, like there wasn't really something driving it. Now listen to this for a change. That made a difference, didn't it? So you see how big a role the bass really plays in music. None of those tunes would sound anything like they did if it wasn't for the instrument. And that's all great. I think it's great that the bass can play all that kind of stuff so well. But that's not all the instrument is there for. I mean, people have this stereotypical idea of what the bass is in music. It's just sort of there to fill in the low frequencies. Kind of like the guy who wasn't good enough to play guitar, so they slapped him on bass. A lot of people think the bass just consists of That's pretty cute, isn't it? I mean, can you imagine a whole gig of just that? At least us bassists get paid for that kind of stuff, let me tell you. If anything, though, they ought to pay us extra to just be able to sit through hours of that. Now, with all that said, as I mentioned, the bass really is capable of so much more. See, that wasn't the only thing that captivated me when I saw that bassist that night. I wasn't only fascinated by the things he was doing, I was also fascinated by the things he wasn't doing. And that was really using the instrument to its full potential. It's not like I knew then that I could play and arrange a multitude of solo pieces on bass. It's not like I knew I could play complex chords, play with 5 fingers at once, or tap and slap the fingerboard like my life was on the line. But when I look at that fingerboard, I saw a whole orchestra of notes. I saw an incredible range of boundless possibilities. I saw the bass as one of the most expressive instruments there was. So then I thought to myself, what sort of setting could I find that would allow me to liberate and expand the instrument to my desires? Well, it was then that jazz and improvisation burst into my life like a supernova, a whole new world. Jazz and improvisation are, to me, some of the most important aspects in music because they require the ultimate amount of musician and virtuosity in order to perform at the highest degree possible. It was when I discovered jazz and improvisation that I realized I wasn't going to be just a bass player. I was going to be a musician. I was going to strive towards the likes of Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, and John Coltrane. Now, immediately you could think those are some pretty high ambitions to match up to. But it is with this mindset that one could hold themselves to the highest standard of work possible, and in turn, get as close to achieving their highest potential as they can. That essentially means a thorough understanding of improvisation is more or less mandatory. See, you have to be able to perform at a great level at any given moment on the spot. A lot of people think improvisation only means coming up with things directly on the spot without any sort of structural planning. However, you'll find improvisation is actually a rather structured and delicate process. Stop any musician at any point during their solo and ask them where they are in the form of their tune, even what chord they're over. If they're any good, they'll tell you. It doesn't even hurt to have a vague plan of how you want to approach your solo. Maybe you want to play 3 choruses 3 times through the form of a tune in order to have an idea of how to build and resolve your ideas. Of course, you can bend the plan as you go along. After all, it is improvisation. With that said, I'd like to put what I've been talking about into action and demonstrate a solo over a jazz blues form. So, whether or not you understood what was going on there musically really isn't all that important. But try to see if you felt something. Maybe you felt some of the energy that the player had on stage. Maybe you felt a sort of intuition. Maybe it felt sort of like a conversation. In fact, one of the most common comparisons to music is its function as a language. This is because the two share very similar fundamentals. See, when we speak, we don't aimlessly ramble on and on without a pause. Well, most of us don't, anyway. We all have that one person, you know. When we speak, there's typically structure and coherence to our conversation. We stick to a topic and a theme. Well, music's a lot like that. See, nobody goes, I had eggs for breakfast, then I mowed my lawn, then I went to the hardware store. What are your thoughts on global warming? Like I said, music's a lot like that. It's communicative. You're telling a story. So next time you listen to a piece of music, try not to overthink it. Just listen. Listen to every single note. Listen to the bass line, and whether it's driving or laid back. Listen to all the beautiful sounds, and listen to the story they tell you. Or come up with your own story with the ideas they give you. Connect your mind to your instrument, to the music, so that they become one. Join me in that world. Thank you.